Well, this week I thought I'd show you how to make some miniature asparagus. Actually, the inspiration for this project was the asparagus at the farmer's market that I went to a few days ago. Got asparagus for the house, and I thought, well, maybe the dollhouse family would enjoy some asparagus. So stay tuned and see how easy it is to make this project. Let's talk about the materials we need to make our asparagus. We need polymer clay. Use your favorite brand. I prefer Fimo, and most of my colors I was able to get in the Fimo. We need white, transparent, and leaf green. I wanted to tone the leaf green down a bit, so I also have some moss green in Sculpey 3, and then any purplish red deep color. We'll talk about that when we get ready to blend our clays together. What else do we need? We need a tile to work on. On this one, we desperately need to work on a tile, but you really need to bake on a paper plate for this one because you don't want the back side of your asparagus to be shiny. You will need a clay blade, and a nice sharp new one is best. You need a pointy tool. I like my dental pick. It works really well. And we'll need cornstarch, and we'll need a way to roll out our clay. I'm using the pasta machine, but if you're really patient, you could use an acrylic roller. So let me get set up to get the clay blended, and we can get started with this. So the first thing to do when we're working with making foods is to be familiar with what you're making. It really helps to have some on hand. And my farmer's market had some good asparagus the other day, so that's why I decided to make asparagus this week. We've got our greens. So that's a little bit too dark, but when I mixed in just a little bit of moss green, it's still a little bright, but it's better. It's pretty good. It looks pretty good when it's baked off. We need our white for the bottom. We know that these are, I measured them, they're about 9 inches. So our miniatures are going to be about 3/4 of an inch long. See, they come in all different diameters. I got some skinny ones here, and I've got some fat ones. We look at how the heads look, and we see we've got these little leafy things going all the way down. And they're not all straight. Some of them are pretty crooked. So those are things to look at and to think about when we're getting ready to make our asparagus. So let me put these back in the fridge, and we'll start working with some clay. Alright, for our main part of our asparagus, we need 2 colors. We need our green, and we need a really pale green, because we're going to do what's called a Skinner blend, and I'll tell you about that in a minute. To get the darker green, I used mostly leaf green, and I just put a really small amount. Well, you can see this was a new package of leaf green, and I used that much of it, and this amount of moss green that's off, half of it went in the green to make this. The other half went with some white and translucent. I have the transparent, which I have 2 parts of transparent and 1 part of white, and then that little bit of moss green to make this color. And then these need to be mixed really thoroughly, and it's a good idea to clean your pasta machine. If you're using a pasta machine, clean it before you try to do this. And let me get these conditioned. These have been sitting here today, so let me get these rolled out, and I'll show you how we make a Skinner blend. Alright, I've run these through the pasta machine a couple of times, and I like to start with a rectangle when I'm doing a Skinner blend. So let's cut. And depending on how much you want to make, obviously how big you make your rectangle. It's not really very straight. There, that's a little better. It's not a perfect rectangle, but that's okay, because we're going to get it all out of shape here in a second. A little straighter on the end. Alright, now we've got 2 rectangles, one of each color, the exact same size. Now, some people go corner to corner. I don't go corner to corner when I do this. I go like this. I like to leave more on the ends. So then I take I'll just use that one. That doesn't want to come apart. Now we match these up so that we have a single piece. Now, I'm going to run this through my pasta machine. Let's see if I can move the camera. Let me turn the camera off and see if I can set up so that you can see the clay going through the pasta machine. Alright, hopefully we can see what I'm doing here. Now, put this in the pasta machine. I'm going to set this down. I'm on setting number 1. Let's go down to number 2 for a second. I want to get that really put together. Now, we haven't seen a lot of change yet. That mainly just adhered it. Folding this way. Don't worry if it comes apart a little, that's okay. Now we're putting the fold down. We're always going to fold and run the clay the same way till we're done. Right, we're not seeing a lot of change yet. It takes a while. We're just going to move. We're starting to see a little bit of change. We're starting to see a little blending. And this is going to get, it's going to be amazing. If you've never done this or seen this done before, I think you will be very surprised at how dramatic this can be when you get all done. And it's going to get all wonky and out of shape. Don't worry about that. Just the secret is never fold this way. Always fold and roll the same way, because you've got to keep that blend going. And we're just working that blend in. With a small amount of clay, it's easier to control. I've done this with big chunks of clay sometimes, and that can be kind of hard to control. And now you see how much, look at the difference from when we started. It's not quite blended there, so we'll keep going. And it doesn't have to be perfect for what we're doing today. We will actually be using the same method a lot of times, making a lot of different produce. I also use the same method to make cooked roast beef. That's a lot of fun. But I think that's pretty good. We've got a good blend. Now, I'm actually going to go the other way, but I'm going to this down 1 step narrower, and I want to make this longer. There'll be no more folding now. I've got a longer piece. So let's move back over to my work tile and I'll show you the next step. Alright, now what I like to do is take this, what in the world do I have on there? And we're just going to fold back and forth and make a small fold, because you want to take advantage of these really light colors. And we don't want to have a huge wide piece, and we're just going to kind of accordion fold this. And now we're going to compress it. And we're going to just keep smushing and smushing. And we have a continuous piece of clay. Goes from light to dark. Now you might be saying, what happened to that red clay? I'll show you. We need that red clay now. We just need a little tiny bit. And I'm just going to go do this with the pasta machine. I'm going to take a very tiny bit of red and approximately the same amount of the green. And I'm going to make 2 thin sheets. Right. Now I'm going to put these together like this, and I'm going to roll them through the pasta machine down to as thin as I can make them. but I'm not going to fold anymore. I'm going to leave the red on one side, the green on the other. We need this really thin so we can use it to make those reddish parts on our asparagus. And there. Now, that's a very thin sheet. It's red on one side and green on the other. Now I'm going to stick that down to my tile. I need that kind of stuck down. It'll be a lot easier if it's kind of stuck down. Cut off the end where it's not very well adhered. I'm going to make this a block about a 1/2 inch or so. Your asparagus can be shorter or longer. I'm going to make some slices. And it doesn't matter if it's not even in the middle because we're going to be rolling, cutting and rolling. This one is small enough. I think I just want 2 out of each of these. Now we're going to take each of these, and on our tray, we're going to make some little snakes out of them. Making the green end thinner. Don't worry about what the light end looks like. Whoops, I'm out of camera again. The white end we are going to trim when it comes out of the oven. That one's too thin. Now, we take our pointy tool. Oh, and did I mention we need cornstarch? I think I forgot that. Dip your tool in cornstarch. Otherwise, this clay is going to try to stick to your tool. Now, the green is the tip of our asparagus. The white is the bottom. I'm going to take this tool and I'm going to just kind of like dig off little tiny bits. And I want the green and the red to be kind of mixed. And kind of cluster that and kind of work it in to the very tip. And what you're looking for is you're trying to make that little top knot looking bit that the asparagus has. So we just kind of tease these on. If you find the clay is starting to stick to your tool, dip it back in the cornstarch. And I like to kind of roll it between my fingers so it doesn't stick out too much. Now we're going to take little tiny little bits and we're going to make little leaves. And I need more cornstarch. And remember, it's okay if they're not straight. It's okay if they're not perfect. Oops, I missed a side with my top. And if you miss some and you don't catch it in time, that's okay. You can lay it, underneath another piece. So there's one. This one is way too big. Back in the cornstarch. you just kind of work around. There's no set number of little leaves you have to put on each one. These got a little bit big. I made another one of these snakes earlier and it blended better in the brick. So this is another piece I've been working with. But we're going to bake these off and then I'll be back and show you what the next step. Right, these are fresh and hot out of the oven, so while they're still warm and easier to cut, because asparagus is cut off straight at the bottom, and this way you can adjust your heights. So here's the two we made, if I can get a hold of them, and here's the ones I've been making earlier today. You see we have, it's a fun project. I think you'll enjoy it. Whether your doll family just needs a couple of spears of asparagus for dinner, or you want to make a whole bunch and make a box to put in a produce stand like I'm going to, I hope you have fun with this project. Be sure and check out the blog and our Facebook page. I'd love to see pictures of what you guys are doing, so be sure and post those on the Facebook page. I'll talk to you later. Bye.